Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome back to the channel. And just dropped fresh off the press on the Warhammer community page is our teasers for the Imperial Knights as part of the Psychic Awakening Engine War expansion. Now obviously I'm a big fan of the Imperial Knights, as anyone who's been around this channel for some time would have known, and I am super excited for these changes that are coming in. So what I wanted to do is quickly go through what is coming our way, how this is going to affect, my army and potentially yours at the same time. The first thing we've been given a look at are some new stratagems. So as with all of the Psychic Awakening books, we're getting a whole bunch of new stratagems beyond the standard codex, which hopefully, in theory, if the FAQs and discussions are to be believed, which I see no reason why they're not, will be fully compatible with all of 9th edition, and it's going to give us an idea of what's going to be potentially coming with 9th edition as well. So the first one to look at then is for one command point, is called Thin Their Ranks, an Imperial Knight stratagem for your armigers. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when an Armiger Helverin model from your army is chosen to shoot with, and until the end of that phase, Armiger autocannons that model is equipped with come with 6 attacks when targeting a unit that contains 6 or more models. Now the standard autocannon is 2d3, so yeah, this is going to be awesome. We're going to get that flat figure of shots against a slightly larger or above average strength unit. Really going to be handy for those maximum squads of destroyers, for example, with the Necrons, which are 3 wounds apiece and are often fielded in units of 6. So we're going to be taking out a single destroyer every single time one of those fails its save. Now remember, each Armiger comes with 2 autocannons. So the way I'm reading this is that each Armiger autocannon the model is equipped with, which is 2, that's going to give you 12 shots, rather than 2d3, or which becomes 4d3 with 2 cannons. So Armiger Helverins are suddenly amazing, even more than they've ever been before. This actually makes running a Knight Preceptor from the Questorist class even more viable, in my idea, with the Mentor ability, which gives you a reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Armiger class units within 6 inches of that model. Combine those two together, Armigers now with 12 shots hitting on 2s are going to be insanely good. Not forgetting Sky Reaper protocols for another command point, which has allowed us to re-roll all failed hit rolls for an Armiger Helverin's autocannons against units that can fly. Now, just going back to that simple example there of Necron destroyers, which come with the fly keyword, those are going to be just insane. I've got no other words to describe it. The next stratagem that has now been revealed to us is Belligerent Machine Spirit, just for one command point. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Knight Warden model from your army is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of that phase, the range of that model's Avenger Gatling Cannon is just 8 inches, but when resolving an attack made with it, you don't roll, it automatically hits. And as the Warhammer community team have kindly pointed out, that is 12 strength 6 damage 2 hits. That's going to ruin a lot of people's days, as it clearly says on the page. It doesn't say whether that affects the Endless Fury heirloom version. I don't believe it does, because that replaces the Avenger Gatling Cannon rule. But yeah, it does kind of encourage you to get that Night Warden up close and personal. And of course, the Night Warden does come with either a Reaper Chainsword or a Thunderstrike Gauntlet when it does get close. And of course, those Titanic Feet rules, which are still just really good anyway. The next stratagem that they've teased us with is Trophy Claim for one command point. Use this stratagem when an enemy Titanic model is destroyed as a result of an attack made with a melee weapon by an Imperial Knight. Until the end of that battle, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the Imperial Knight model. Now that one's going to be very circumstantial, depending whether you're facing enemy Titanic units. So Chaos Knights and several other large Forge World units are probably going to be the only thing that really creep into here. Not that many units that we know about today. That Titanic word could apply to other units in 9th edition. We don't know that as of yet. I'm not going to speculate to whether that changes or not. But as of 8th edition, Titanic is not that common a keyword across regular units. Really specifically, that is sort of Chaos Knights, or if you're facing other Imperial Knights, of course. So that's going to be very circumstantial. Next up then on the teaser page is Household Traditions. I kind of alluded or hoped that this would come up when we found out the date of release for Engine War. So this is going to allow us to create our own knightly household rather than use the ones that are fixed in the Imperial Knight Codex. And what they're telling us here is we get to select 2 abilities and apply them to our force. So basically we could be an anti-horde or an anti-armour, or maybe a mixture of the both. We don't really know all of them yet, we just got the teasers that have come up on the page. The first one being Guardians of the Frontier. Whilst a model with this tradition is within 1 inch of an enemy unit that contains 11 or more models, increases attacks characteristic by 1. Other than the Knight Gallant then, the profile for all the knights is 4 attacks, which is multiplied by 3 when we use our Titanic feat in combat. Now if we're facing 11 or more models, the likelihood is they're only going to be single wounded models in the most part. So increasing our attacks characteristic to 5, or with the Gallant to 6, we're now going to multiply that by 3 for our Titanic feat, which are our melee weapon with an AP of -2 and a D3 of damage. So yeah, we're going to get basically another 3 attacks from our Titanic feat. The next household ability they tell us about is Storm Striders. Add 1 inch to the move characteristic of a model with this tradition, and always use the top row of its damage table when determining the move characteristic, regardless of its wounds remaining. Questoress class knights have a move of 12, Armigers 14, and Dominus class have 10, and we all know what a difference is when you add 1 inch to anything. Combining this with the existing Warlord trait of Landstrider, for example, which always gave us an add 2 to advance and charge rolls, we're now getting +2 for that and +1 for our Stormstriders ability. And with the existing full tilt ability to give us the ability to charge after we've advanced, that could really make for a fast, hard-hitting knight force. Now if you cast your mind back to my Getting Started with Imperial Knights video, which timely only came about 3 or so weeks ago, where I discussed where you pick your household allegiance to either the Imperium of Man or the Machine Cult. There's now going to be bonuses across the board depending which one you swear your allegiance to. Now this really goes back to the whole, what bonus do you get if you don't mix and match? So this is kind of one of these bonuses that's been missing throughout the game or the life cycle of 8th edition, where if you throw your lot in and you're thematic and you stick with one and you're not mixing and matching and kind of souping up a little bit, there's now going to be some broad rewards for those that do stick to a theme. And the example they've given here is if you throw your lot in and you are Questor Mechanicus aligned, your Sacristan Pledge allows you at the start of each turn, a model with the Questor Allegiance Oath regains 1 lost wound. That's right, just like Demon Forge or anything like that, we're now going to get to regain lost wounds on our already valuable and high wounded knights. This can really tip you over that damage barrier where you start to degrade, and when you start crawling back and clawing back those damage points. And with the Imperial Knight Codex, we had 6 standard Warlord traits and then specific ones for the known households. However, we're now going to get 3 new Warlord traits per allegiance, so that should add up to 6. So if you've pledged yourself to the Imperium and you like getting up close and personal, as indicated on today's teaser information, you're going to get Tireless Duty. This Warlord can perform a heroic intervention if there are enemy units within 6 inches of it instead of 3 inches, and when doing so can move 6 inches instead of 3. That can really open up the battlefield a little bit when you start getting tagged up in combat and stuff gets a bit close and you want to heroically intervene with more of those Titanic feat attacks. This is going to give us that better chance to do so. So in summary then, we've got more stratagems coming, we've got more Warlord traits coming, and we've basically got our own custom households that we can now make. Now from the FAQ Q&A session that the guys from the studio ran just last Tuesday, we don't know how many command points our armies are going to have just yet. They alluded to the fact that command points are going to be fixed based on the size of your game and not by the type of detachment that you now take. So you're not going to be penalised for taking Outriders and Spearheads where you'd only generate 1 command point. You would typically try to take a really cheap battalion to try and get 5 command points and so on and build your army that way. My Armiger list idea that I came up with a couple of videos ago, I'll leave the link in the description below, only actually gave us 3 and potentially 4 command points. that list is now going to have as many command points as any other army in the game. That's going to open up some huge tactical flexibility, give us lots more stratagems to pick and choose from, a lot more rerolls or whatever stratagems are going to be coming in 9th edition. Really going to open up some of these hard to gain CP type armies, like Adeptus Custodes is another prime example where generating CP is very difficult. Imperial Knights has always been a similar one, until they changed the board a little bit and gave us the 6 for taking Questor class knights. We're not going to have that anymore. So we're going to be able to use some of the really cool command points and stratagems, and potentially even outflank and deep strike and other good things that they alluded to, where your command ability is now being spent slightly differently. It becomes an additional aspect to the game other than just using standard stratagems. So very excited for all this news. I hope you are too. I'd love to know in the comment section below what you think of the teasers so far that we've been given by Games Workshop today. And if you're ordering the Engine War book on Saturday for release the week after, I'm counting down the days. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I shall catch you guys on the next video.